This is going to be exciting because not only is Avanti a new partner with us, but they won a 2014 Must See 'em for their Avanti Slingshot MIS technology. And Stephen McWilliam, the Executive Vice President of Avanti Systems, is going to tell us a little bit about that, and we'll take your questions from home, and we'll take it from there. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Deborah. Yeah, we're really excited to be here in Chicago for Graph Expo 2014. Those that are familiar with us know that we were here for Print 13 last year, and is where we actually had our worldwide announcement of Avanti Slingshot. So Avanti's been around since 1984. We've been around for 30 plus years, 4 years ago, we started the development of a brand new product. We did it completely with a separate development team. We continued to market our existing product, working on the 4 years of Avanti Slingshot, announced it last year, won a Must See 'em for that award. And there's some key design principles that were built into Avanti Slingshot. And in the first place, it was a browser-based application, so offering anytime, anywhere access on any device, access to the environment. I should start by saying we have a Print MIS software, and that's really about how do I manage the business side of the print shop. So everything from how orders are coming into the shop via web to print, coming into the commercial environment. So we're doing our estimating, our production planning, our job costing, our job tracking, and our billing. Our legacy system, client server, been around for back in the litho days, but now that we're into more different lines of business inside the commercial shops, we did right from the ground up our Avanti Slingshot. So browser-based, so anytime, anywhere access from any device. Second key principle really was to move beyond just print. So print shops out there are looking for new lines of business to get into to grow their business, and we've built that right from the ground up inside of Avanti Slingshot to be able to handle things like not just print, but litho, digital, large format, those that are getting into mailing and fulfillment, perfect platform for them. The third key design principle inside of Avanti Slingshot has to do with the amount of effort that's required to put in a system like a Print MIS. It can take 3 to 6 months to get a traditional MIS system in there, because it really does touch every single department in there. So what we did as part of the development of Avanti Slingshot was really invest a lot of time in the resources, the import utilities, and what we refer to as our quick start database. So where we've already built out the majority of the pieces of equipment that our customers would have inside their shop. So all the digital presses are already built out, litho presses, fold, bindery, as well as all the tasks and activities that would go into something like that. So we really tried to make it very easy for our customers. I've got 400 customers on our legacy product. We're moving them across to Avanti Slingshot, and of course we're out there selling Avanti Slingshot into new accounts, and of course most of them already have an existing MIS system that they need to migrate across. So it's very helpful for them, for us to have an import utility as an example. We can bring their customer master file across without anybody needing to have fat fingers retyping everything in. Since their equipment's already built out, they don't have to build from scratch. So what are my budgetly hourly rates, and what are my run speeds, and what are the things that I have to fill in. Really what they have to do when it comes to implementing Avanti Slingshot is basically have a great understanding of their pricing and their costs, which they have already, and then just tailor the system to be able to do that. The next key design principle revolved around how do we deploy something like this. Everybody's talking about the cloud, but there are several shops that aren't allowed to implement in the cloud. So we offer both the ability to implement Slingshot on-premise, so it runs on one of your servers within your firewall, down in adhering to your security principles, or you can run it in the cloud. That's really important to a small commercial shop that wouldn't necessarily have all the IT resources on staff to be able to manage something like that. Just throw it up in the cloud and have it managed there. But if you are a bank, a public institution, something that is worried about security, great place for you to just run it on premise inside your shop. And then finally, the reason that we're really excited to be here today, the last one is really about automation and integration. So we've won a Must-See Award here, 2014. We won it for our advanced JDF framework. What that means for our viewers out there today is it makes it much easier for you to implement a project that involves integration and automation of the different pieces of equipment that you've got out there and the different applications that you've got out there. It's much, gone are the days where JDF or integrating into pieces of equipment is just the realm for the very large printers. But we work with all the vendors out there to make sure that those that are adhering to the JDF standard or other standards like XML make it very easy for us to integrate into Avanti. So we can get to that state that we all want of basically get as close to a zero-touch workflow as you want to. Your customers are submitting jobs 7x24 across the web. You really don't want anybody in the shop needing to re-enter that information. So really tight integration points and APIs to be able to integrate into those. Then once we've got that job inside of Avanti Slingshot, we know everything about that job, right? The customer's done all the heavy lifting on the web to print side, so we know who they are, we know what they want us to produce, they've sent the file to us that needs to get printed, we know the location of where they would like that sent. Well, we need to be able to send that all downstream. We had a speaker just earlier talk about substrates. We need to know what's the substrate that's going to run on, what's the quantity, where's the location of the file. Again, in the olden days, someone would have to re-enter all that information as we passed it down to the prepress layer. Well, we've already got all the integration points into all those prepress layers that all the key vendors that are out here in Chicago have already got in place. So whether it's SmartStream from HP, TotalFlow from Ricoh, FreeFlow from Xerox, PrintFlow from Konica Minolta, we've already built all those integration points into there. So we can pass all the job parameters down to them that they can do what they need to with that job. And then the really cool part, again, thanks to JDF, and in our case the JDF framework that we have, we get all the information back up after the job's complete. So, back in the old days of a litho job that would run for a couple of hours or even a couple of days, it was okay to have someone wandering around with a clipboard writing down, okay, how much paper did we use on that? How long did it actually run? Well, welcome to the digital world where the good old days of, okay, I've got 10 jobs that are going through the shop in the next 10 days. Now I've got 10 jobs that are going through the shop in the next hour. I can't afford to have anybody running around trying to figure out where a job is. Since we're integrated right into the things like an iGen or an Indigo or bindery equipment that are out there, they can let us know, done and gone off of the C901 and moved on down into bindery. It updates the schedule, so anybody that's looking at the master schedule inside of Avanti Slingshot can see the job status, done and gone, down to shipping. They can get actually how long did it take to run. The favorite report in Avanti Slingshot for everyone is estimate versus actual. We estimated it was going to take this long to run. How much did it actually take to run? We estimated we were going to use this much paper. How much did we actually use? So that feed that's coming back up off of the floor tells us all those things. Done and gone, so the job status gets updated. How long did it actually run? So that's calculating my job cost for me. And how much paper did I use? Update the inventory that's running inside of Avanti 2. And then fire triggers. If we go below that bare minimum that we need of 8.5 by 11 or down below our minimum rolls, have it actually automatically send a trigger that says, hey, we need to get another paper order there and get another skid in or another couple of rolls to be able to handle that. So the real benefit of that advanced JDF integration is it makes it much easier for people to implement projects. We move away from really complex ones of you've got to actually have your own project team to get this going to one of a couple of quick conversations. Many of these JDF integrations are literally pull them off the shelf and integrate them right in your environment and then just build it right into the project that you've got for your print MIS. So that's what we're really excited about. Those that are interested in actually seeing a demo of how we do these things, every Thursday at 2 o'clock, come to my website, avantisystems.com. Come there at 2 o'clock on a Thursday. You'll get a little overview of Avanti Slingshot. And then actually, if you come to my website, you'll actually see a schedule of webinars that we do. So we do some generic ones. Some we hone right in on that topic of automation and integration. So you can get a sense for how do we do a project like this.
So just because we do have a global audience, is it 2 p.m. Eastern time? Is that correct?
It is 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
Yeah, so good point that your audience is international.
Yes.
Because there's one other design principle that I forgot to mention about Avanti Slingshot, and that is that it's built for multi. It's built for multi-currency. It's built for multilingual. So here we are in America, really need a system that's available in English with a bit of shop floor data collection in Spanish. But for all of our viewers throughout the world, know that it's got all the hooks built in there for all the key languages.
Okay, and then I have a question, and then I'm going to turn it over to the home audience and Sandy. How customizable is your platform, and how does somebody go about working with, I guess, one of your people to customize it?
Yeah, so I've got my road warriors at Avanti. So we do all of our implementations and our projects. We do them literally on site. So I've got 5 folks that are traveling around all the time, and they come out to the client site. And depending on what modules you need, Avanti Slingshot's a modular system. Depending on what modules they need, that dictates how long the project's going to take. So based on the modules they have, it may be 17 days to implement the project. Well, we don't actually come down for 17 days. What we do is we come down for weeks of 4 days. So we come down Monday to Thursday. We do whatever part of the project that has to be done in that. And then we actually go away and leave them lots of homework to do. So about 40 hours of homework between each one of those trips that has to get done before someone from my team comes back down. So that 40 hours of homework, depending on how they're staffing the project, could take them 1 week if it's 40 hours and they're dedicated to the project, or it may be something that they're doing on top of their daily activities. So they may do that 40 hours of homework over 4 weeks, 10 hours a week to get that homework done, and then we're coming down we're coming down after that, and then we just chunk through in a very phased approach for that project, and we'll get her done somewhere between, as I said earlier, between 3 and 6 months is an average project for us. Any questions?
Well, Stephen, I was just going to ask you that. So
What were you gonna ask me?
I was going to ask how long it takes to get a project like this off and running. So 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and again, that depends on whether it's an integration that they're after in terms of a piece of equipment or a piece of application software, whether that integration already exists. We've got them for all the big, as I mentioned, for all the big workflow tools and the big pieces of iron, but they may have something that's homegrown that we would have to work on together with them, or they may have a piece of software for someone else. Again, the key is open standards. The reality out there is that there isn't just one vendor in a shop. They could have multiple vendors for their equipment. They can have multiple vendors for they buy a piece of software to solve a particular problem, maybe imposition. So they've got preps, or they've got metrics, or they've got ultimate technographics software. Some of those are off the shelf, other ones we'd have to develop. And the way with the JDF framework works is that regardless of the integration, it's $5,000. So if it's on the shelf, it makes it easier for us to produce. Otherwise, it's a project for us because our goal is to get more and more things on the shelf, right? So that's why it's not a statement of work that goes with that, and $100,000 of work for something like that to get done. We're making it very easy, easy for that small commercial shop to get going.
Okay, sounds good. I wanted to read one of the comments from the audience, which is, hello. Having had to type out job tickets on NCR to have a fully automated system is wait for it, some. So people are liking that.
Hey, when you've got hundreds of jobs coming through the shop every single day, you got to eliminate re-entering information that you've captured somewhere else. Right, that's the key. Have things go right through, and eventually get to that point where everything is electronic, even the job ticket. So the people out on the floor are looking at the most recent job ticket. If there's a last-minute change or a change order, something's happening. You get 200 to 400 jobs going through the shop. That can be a real challenge, and probably the greatest, when we talk to our customers, what do they say is really bogging them down is the fact that they've got twice as many jobs going through the shop now as they did 2 years ago, but they're all shorter jobs, so you can't touch them. You got to eliminate the touches.
Yeah, it's not only a time savings, but probably in terms of accuracy. Every time you re-keyboard something, you're introducing a place where mistakes can happen. One of the questions was, what are we looking at for operator training? And I would assume, since people throughout the print shop are interacting with this, there's probably more training for some operators and less for others.
Yeah, a print MIS system like Avanti Slingshot touches every department. It touches accounting, it touches client services, it touches sales, it touches the operators. And so when it comes to that actual project, someone at the shop has to own the system. So they come to all the training from start to finish. And that's typically someone that's really intimate with the workflow inside the shop and is often the go-to person that everybody goes to understand, well, how does a job make its way through the shop. Other people just touch particular parts of it. So the accounting folks, they need to come to the invoicing training. The operators, they really just need to come to the shop floor data collection training. And what we encourage people to do, barcode everything. So everybody's badge has got a barcode on it, the job ticket's got a barcode on it, and the activities that they're doing have a barcode. So really, in terms of shop floor data collections, it's okay, it's me, Deborah, I'm working on the puller cutter, and here's the job number, and that's it. So to answer your question, they come to the training, it's applicable to them. One, and we also recommend that there be a backup. So if some people want to go on a holiday every once in a while, you should have a backup in terms of a systems administrator. And administering a system like Avanti Slingshot really takes about 10% of someone's time just to do admin, password changes, or a new paper stock comes in. One of the reasons that we do our projects on site is our goal really is to hand them the keys when we're done on the project, so they don't have to call me to say, hey, we got a new piece of equipment in here, how do we build that into our platform? We have a new substrate, we're changing our pricing. They don't need to call me. They're good enough at using the system that they don't need my guys are expensive. You don't want them to have to pay a daily rate just because they want to change something.
And here's a question that's not from our audience at home, but I actually was on the phone about a month ago with a company who was researching print MIS systems because they had a current, very old system that was proprietary, didn't integrate with the equipment, there's a lot of redundancy, obviously didn't cover all the modules that you mentioned.
Yes.
What would a printer look at to justify switching even from a relatively competitive system, but really from an older system, to justify changing to your program?
Yeah, because you know what, it is a big project to swap one of those out. Some my customers jokingly say that the print MIS is like the heart of the operation. And so if you want to take the heart out, it's like a heart transplant, right? No one wants to go through the heart transplant. So really it is about ROI. What's the pain of getting in the way of you growing the business? It's usually customer driven. The customer's coming to you and asking you to do something that you can't do. They say, I want a web portal. Oh, we don't have the ability to do that. We want you to develop a new application, a printing application for us. So they find holes in their current operation that say, wow, we just can't deliver that right now. I had one customer who came, who is a customer of ours now, wasn't at the time, where they were a commercial shop and they had a very large insurance company come to them and said, you know what, I want to be able to give my insurance agents out there the ability to produce their own collateral. Customize it with their name and on there, so that it had a better chance of actually hanging around in the place that it was going to. But when they looked at the number of touch points to do, a piece of collateral for Deborah Korn, there was 14 touch points on that. Well, you can't have 14 touch points on a job and expect to make any money. So they had to strip all that out. They had to say no to their client, or they had to come up with a way with getting a touchless workflow. And that's what we were able to. That's what we were able to do for them. So it is about ROI.
Hi, I'm Brian. I just have a quick question for you. I don't mean to go too far back, but you had mentioned metrics.
Yeah.
You had mentioned metrics, and I have a online chat friend named Matt Beals who works for Metrics, and I read that they were acquired by EFI for the digital front end. So my question is, does that make any difference? How does it interface? Does Avanti Slingshot a partnership or an association with EFI, or?
So it's really about the standards that things adhere to. So JDF being that standard for the printing industry. If those different applications, metrics and preps and literally other things that we do integrate to with Fiery as an example, or into OPS, which is their web storefront, it is about those standards so that we can send and receive information to one another to make it a lot easier. The client doesn't want to get in the middle of that. Is it my job or their job to hand information information. The standards are what do it, and we work with everybody. That's one of our key value adds is really we recognize there's multiple vendors in every one of those shops, so we've really built Avanti Slingshot to be as open as possible.
Okay, we've got more questions coming in off live stream.
Sure.
Sorry, I got to take my glasses off here. Would the printer's clients have live job status access?
That's really up to the printer. Most people will not let their clients into their production world. They like to keep that client visibility away from the actual production. But you have the part of that integration into things like a web to print storefront says, be able to give me status, right? In a self-service way, let me go and look up the status of a job, my inventory levels. I want to look up an old invoice. So yeah, the communication has to go back and forth. And really, phase one of web to print was give me an easy way to submit a job into the shop and maybe attach a file. Phase two of web to print, where everybody's going now, is bi-directional. So not only make it easy for me to submit a job 7x24, but make sure that I can go and get the information that I need to. And you're going to see more and more of that going forward, of companies working together, like Avanti working with like an XMPi or an RSA Web CRD or a PTI, so that we do send information back and forth.
Great, good to know. Okay, another question. Would there be automated email status, or do they log into view status?
Well, about two things there. Absolutely. We call it business alerts and triggers. So if something happens inside the shop and you want to notify someone, have an email automatically generated to go to someone. So it may be an operations manager that says, if a job is late, I want you to let me know. If it's a very big client and they submit an order, I want an email to go to the sales guy to let them know our best client is just ordering. So we refer to those as business alerts and triggers. Now, they can get a little overwhelming. If you've got hundreds of jobs going through the shop, you don't want to be triggered with everything. So there's also the ability to go on demand and just say, okay, in a real-time way, tell me what I want to know. So we refer to it as visibility. Give me the analytics that I can go and have a look at what's going on in the shop right now, but also the ability to go and find out what happened yesterday.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I really appreciate you spending our time with here and with our people at home. And also, we've got to say happy 30th anniversary.
That's right.
To Avanti.
Yeah, great.
Obviously, you're doing something right. So we hope you're around for another 30 years. We hope to have another 30 years of partnership with the Printerverse. And thanks to everybody on live stream who's been following us for the last 4 days. Especially a huge thanks to Sandy Hubbard, who's been running NASA from a little round table and a little plastic chair since we've been here, to Brian Rothschild, who has been amazingly, he's on MacFix, he's MacFixer. He has been tweeting and helping running our displays, and right now he's running the camera. Nick Ames, who is now running around the trade show floor, visiting our sponsors and our partners, and taking little videos with them. Eddie from Shutterbox Productions, is that photo booths? Entertainment, who's not just operating our photo booth, but also working with booth attendees and helping them to mail the photos, post the photos on the graffiti wall, take pictures with our giant aliens. Obviously, huge thanks to Mary Beth Smith, who has actually left, but without her, there'd be no Girls Who Print Day, no Girls Who Print in the Printerverse. And last but not least, Lady Scanalot, a.k.a. Mommy and my mother, who I import every year to help me in the booth, because who else can you really trust but your mother?
Who else? Who else?
When you really have to get things done. And as she pointed out yesterday, without her, I wouldn't be here, so thanks, Mom. And huge thanks to Graph Expo, to the GASC team, to Chris Price, Mr. Ralph Nappi, Debbie Vader, oh my God, Kelly oh my God, Kilga. I couldn't say her name for a second. I'm sorry, Kelly. And everybody there, Jody, everybody who really brings this show to life every year, works tirelessly throughout the whole year to make this show an amazing success for everybody and keep it alive and going. And again, without exhibitors and partners and everybody coming together, it wouldn't happen. So yay to the Printerverse. Thanks, everybody. See you next year.